Hello, I'm Flora, and welcome back to another episode of The Human Side of AI. Here's the question behind today's episode. What actually happens after 5 p.m.? Because for most of us running a business, it's not rest. It's a second shift. Dinner, bills, the kids' schedules, the dryer that's making that weird noise. Same job, different factory. Today, we're digging into all the ways AI can take over that second shift, not as a lifestyle hack, but as a real fix for a capacity problem. Meals, money, health, home repairs, parenting, travel, relationships, learning. 8 areas where the friction gets removed so the hours go back into you, your business, and maybe even some rest. As always on Mondays, that's where the AI hosts take it from here, and they leave you with a question worth sitting with. If you got all that time back, do you use it to rest, or do you find new ways to fill it with work? Let's get into it.
You know that persistent myth in the professional world, like that fantasy about the magic of 5:00 p.m.
Oh, right. The idea that you just, clock out and your time is yours.
Exactly. The factory whistle blows, you close your laptop, and suddenly your time is entirely your own again. You're just resting and recharging for the next day.
I mean, it's a beautiful image, completely divorced from reality for most of us, but it's a very nice image.
Right. Because if you are running a business or you're a busy professional trying to keep your head above water, your time doesn't actually reset at 5 p.m.
Definitely not.
You just trade one set of operational logistics for another. Like instead of managing a team or, client expectations, you are suddenly managing dinner or the rattling sound the dryer is making.
The kids' schedule.
Unpaid bills, all of it. I mean, you are still running a factory. It's just the factory of your personal life.
Which brings us to the internal brief we are unpacking today, titled The Human Side of AI. It targets time-starved professionals who, might already use artificial intelligence to draft marketing emails or maybe analyze spreadsheets.
All right, the work stuff.
Exactly, but who are completely missing the broader application.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to really look at those other 16 hours of the day.
Yeah.
The core argument here is that using AI to manage your personal life is not some frivolous lifestyle indulgence. It's a fundamental solution to a very real capacity problem.
Absolutely.
We're going to explore how recovering those hours outside of work actually fuels your professional goals.
What's fascinating here is the underlying premise about cognitive load. I mean, the hours lost to personal logistics are hours you aren't spending on your business.
Right.
Or resting, for that matter. Every single hour AI recovers for you at home is literally a unit of mental bandwidth given back to you.
Wow, yeah.
The true value of this technology might not be, making you type emails 10% faster.
It's bigger than that.
It might be returning the massive amounts of processing power that the rest of your life just quietly drains from you every single week.
Well, let's start with the absolute most persistent, inescapable daily stressor, the daily grind. And there is no better place to start than the kitchen.
Oh, definitely.
The brief highlights this massive recurring decision tax, just deciding what to eat like 5 to 7 times a week.
Because you solve the dinner problem on Tuesday and, people still want to eat on Wednesday.
Right.
The sheer repetition is what creates the fatigue.
So the framework provides this highly practical application for solving this. Instead of sitting down on Sunday with a blank notepad, trying to conjure recipes from thin air.
Which is exhausting. I mean, just thinking about it is tiring.
Exactly. Instead of that, you literally take a photograph of your fridge and your pantry.
Yeah.
You feed that unstructured data, just a messy photo, to an AI.
Think about how radical that is compared to traditional inventory apps.
Oh, yeah.
In the past, you had to manually type in, I have half a jar of salsa, 2 chicken breasts, and some wilting spinach.
Manual data entry for your own kitchen. No, thank you.
Right, exactly. But now, computer vision models can parse that messy reality instantly. It identifies what you have, factors in your dietary preferences, your budget, and builds out 3 complete dinners.
Plus an auto-generated shopping list for the missing ingredients.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I wondered, does saving 30 minutes on a grocery list really move the needle that much for a busy professional?
It's a fair question.
But thinking about it as decision fatigue, a different analogy came to mind. Think of your daily decision-making power, like the RAM on a laptop.
Ooh, I like that.
If you boot up your brain in the morning and immediately open 20 background applications just to manage breakfast and dinner logistics,
your processor's going to drag.
Yes. It's going to drag when it's time to compile code, write a pitch, or interview a key hire at 2 p.m.
The RAM analogy is spot on. I mean, you are freeing up active memory. You remove the decision fatigue before 9 a.m.
Which is when you need it most.
Precisely when your executive function needs to be at its sharpest. And that background drain on your processing power isn't just about meals.
Oh.
The brief moves directly into the next major background stressor, which is the slow bleed of personal finances.
Oh boy, yeah.
We're talking about budgeting, subscription creep, and, deciphering confusing bills.
Subscription creep is the silent killer of bank accounts.
It really is.
We all have the gym membership from 3 years ago, or like the streaming service we use for one specific documentary.
Right. And these low-level financial anxieties eat up so much attention without moving anything forward.
Yeah.
But because we're dealing with advanced large language models now, they excel at pattern recognition in large sets of unstructured text.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, you can paste in 12 months of messy bank statements, and the AI instantly categorizes the data. It hands you a neat list of all those recurring charges you completely forgot about.
That is amazing. It also tackles the things we actively avoid because they were just too mentally taxing, like dealing with customer service.
Oh, absolutely. Or medical bills.
Yes. You can have it draft a highly specific negotiation script for your internet service provider.
Which nobody wants to do themselves.
Nobody. Or, even better, you can take a notoriously confusing medical explanation of benefits, something full of obscure billing codes and insurance jargon,
Right.
and ask the AI to translate it into plain 8th grade English.
Because we often don't fight a bill or optimize our spending simply because the jargon induces cognitive overload.
Totally.
The AI acts as a translation layer, just removing the intimidation factor. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, money stress at home inevitably bleeds into business decisions.
How so?
Well, if a founder is anxious about their personal run rate, they might start making fear-based, short-term decisions at work.
I see.
Clearing this administrative burden off your plate frees up massive amounts of clarity.
Okay, so we've closed out those background applications, draining the meals and the money.
Right.
But once you have that bandwidth back, you still have to maintain the actual physical machinery that does the work.
The engine itself.
Yes, your body and the environment you live in. Which brings us to physical health.
The classic entrepreneur's dilemma. Do I go to the gym for an hour or do I answer these 50 urgent emails?
The emails usually win.
They almost always win.
Because the immediate professional crisis always feels louder than the slow, quiet crisis of neglecting your health.
Yeah.
But the text points out how AI can eliminate the friction that causes us to skip out on self-care. It adapts to our highly specific constraints.
Because traditional fitness apps, they kind of require you to conform to their rigid 45-minute programs.
Right. And if you don't have 45 minutes, you just don't do it.
Exactly. AI flips that dynamic. It conforms to your reality.
You could just tell it what you need.
Yeah, you can tell it I have exactly 18 minutes between meetings, I am in a hotel room, and I have zero equipment. Give me a routine that elevates my heart rate and targets mobility.
Wow.
It generates a constraint-based solution on the fly.
That is so useful. And it's the same principle applied to health data, like taking a complicated blood panel from a doctor and asking the AI to explain the biomarkers in a way you can actually understand.
Right.
Or describing a weird symptom to determine if you need to go to urgent care today, or, if it can wait until next week.
This raises an important question about how we view self-care in the professional world. Maintaining your physical capacity isn't vanity.
No, not at all.
It is pure risk management. An owner who is burned out, sick, or injured is a single point of failure for their entire enterprise.
That is a great way to frame it.
Prioritizing your physical engine is a foundational business strategy.
And speaking of maintaining engines, let's talk about the physical home.
Oh, the joy of home ownership.
There's nothing quite like the unique despair of hearing a weird rattling noise coming from a major appliance on a Tuesday night.
It's the sound of time and money evaporating.
It really is. It usually leads to two outcomes. Either you ignore the noise until the appliance catches fire.
Right.
Or it turns into a wildly expensive service call for something that might have been a 5-minute fix.
Yeah. But the text gives this brilliant example of multimodal AI. You don't just describe the rattling dryer.
What do?
You can record the audio of the rattle or take a photo of the open back panel. The AI analyzes that specific input, gives you a short list of likely causes, and literally walks you through a potential step-by-step fix.
It provides an immediate, honest read on whether this is a DIY job you can knock out in 10 minutes, or if you're looking at a complex electrical issue that absolutely requires a professional.
Exactly.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Deciding whether to DIY that dryer or call a pro is the exact same triage instinct a business owner uses every single day.
Yep.
It is the classic build versus buy or do it myself versus outsource calculation.
Because you are constantly looking at your business operations and asking, is this broken process worth my time to fix personally, or do I hire an expert?
Right. AI allows you to apply that highly honed executive triage skill to your household. And you don't have to first spend 3 hours going down a YouTube rabbit hole just to understand how a dryer belt works.
It compresses the research phase so you can get straight to the executive decision phase.
That is so powerful.
But once the physical environment and the physical body are stabilized, you hit the ultimate boss level of constraint management.
Multi-person scheduling.
Yes. The logistics of parenting and travel, they require incredibly high-level capacity planning.
Let's talk about parenting for a second. The sheer planning time required to manage kids is staggering.
It's a second full-time job.
It really is. Tracking overlapping sports schedules, figuring out what to do with a raining afternoon so they aren't just staring at screens.
Right.
And the nightly battle of homework help.
The homework aspect is fascinating because AI can act as a personalized pedagogy engine.
Wait, what does that mean exactly?
Well, instead of just asking for the answer to a math problem, a parent can prompt the AI to generate an age-appropriate explanation of fractions, one that actually builds understanding for, say, a distracted 9-year-old.
That's incredible. You essentially get an on-demand tutor that helps you become a better teacher in that moment.
Exactly. But the logistical side of parenting is where the real capacity planning comes in. You can take 3 different kids' activity schedules, overlay them against your own busy quarterly travel calendar, and have the AI spot the conflicts weeks in advance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it flags that you have a major client pitch in Chicago on the exact same afternoon as the middle school play.
Allowing you to solve the bottleneck before it becomes a crisis.
Right. Business owners already do this for staffing shifts and supply chain logistics. AI just lets you effortlessly apply that operational muscle to the household.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Looking at all this outsourcing meal choices, symptom checking, even how we explain math to our kids, is there a risk that we are automating our humanity?
It's a valid concern.
Like, where's the line between saving time and just losing our personal touch entirely?
It's definitely the most common skepticism, but the core argument of this framework addresses that directly. AI does not replace your judgment.
Okay.
It removes the friction that keeps your judgment from getting used.
Friction versus judgment.
Think about the travel example detailed in the brief. How does trip planning usually happen for a busy person?
It's a nightmare. I mean, it's hours of opening 30 different browser tabs,
Yeah.
cross-referencing conflicting Yelp reviews.
Getting completely overwhelmed by the paradox of choice.
Yes, and ultimately delaying the actual decision. You know, we'll figure out the hotel next weekend, and then next weekend never comes.
Because the friction of the research prevents the execution. The cognitive overload leads to paralysis.
So how does AI fix that?
With AI, you input a specific set of constraints. You say, we have 4 days, we want to hike, we love seafood, and this is our exact budget.
Okay.
The AI sorts through the noise, filters out the obvious tourist traps, and hands you a curated day-by-day itinerary.
But you still have to look at that itinerary and use your judgment.
Exactly.
You might say, no, we don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. for that hike. Let's swap that for a museum.
Yeah.
You remain the editor.
You didn't outsource the joy of the vacation or the final decision. You just outsourced the 30 open browser tabs.
I love that. You just outsourced the tabs.
And think about it. The professionals who actually take the vacation are the ones who come back with sharper, better judgment for their businesses.
Right. The ones who let the friction convince them they don't have time to plan a trip just stay home.
They stay home, they burn out, and their work suffers.
But reclaiming those physical hours through travel and chores doesn't mean much if you're too emotionally drained to actually connect with your family during that downtime.
Yeah, that's true.
Which brings us to the soft skills categorization in our source: relationships and learning.
We are shifting from physical logistics to emotional and intellectual bandwidth here.
Because when we are under intense time pressure, social logistics fall completely by the wayside.
Oh, absolutely.
We buy generic gift cards because we didn't have time to think of a good gift. And more critically, we avoid having hard conversations because we simply don't have the emotional energy to figure out how to start them.
The psychological concept of activation energy is highly relevant here.
Activation energy.
Yeah, the energy required to, say, draft a difficult text or email to a family member to set a boundary. It can be paralyzing.
But we just avoid it.
Exactly. But you can use AI to drastically lower that activation energy. You can prompt it to generate highly specific, non-generic gift ideas based on a few obscure details about a friend's hobbies.
Oh, that's clever.
Or you can use it to draft a hard message being a difficult conversation. You tell the AI the boundary you need to set, and it provides a first draft that is polite, firm, and emotionally neutral.
Wow. And if we look at the parallel to the professional world, drafting a script to manage a family member who oversteps uses the exact same neural pathways as drafting an email to raise your rates with a demanding legacy client.
Spot on. Clear thinking and boundary setting at home translate directly to clear thinking at work.
The final area is learning and personal growth.
My favorite part.
For busy professionals, staying sharp outside of their core business, trying to learn a new language, understanding a new philosophical concept, keeping up with industry trends, it usually loses out to whatever fire needs to be put out that day.
Because the urgent always crowds out the important.
Every single time. But the AI solution here is incredible for information compression.
It really is.
The brief uses the example of taking a dense 10-hour audiobook or a 50-page white paper and prompting the AI to turn it into a customized one-page set of takeaways.
And not just takeaways.
Right, complete with a Socratic dialogue where the AI asks you follow-up questions tailored to your specific industry.
You are extracting the absolute signal from the noise, just bypassing hours of reading to get straight to the application of the knowledge.
So what does this all mean? The ability to synthesize vast amounts of information quickly isn't just a party trick for a personal development book.
No.
That exact same information compression skill is what you need to stay relevant in any fast-paced, shifting industry.
Which brings us to the grand synthesis of this entire framework. Across all 8 of these areas, meals, money, health, home, parenting, travel, relationships, and learning, the underlying mechanism is identical.
It goes right back to the friction versus judgment concept.
You, as a professional, already know how to plan a week, negotiate a rate, and triage a complex problem.
Right.
You possess all of those executive muscles. AI simply removes the low-level administrative friction so you can actually point those muscles at your personal life where there was previously never enough time or RAM available.
The hours that AI frees up outside of your work are not magical extra hours. They are the exact same finite hours that your business and your life have been running short on.
It is all one single pool of cognitive bandwidth.
To wrap this up, there's a fantastic prompt to reflect on.
Okay.
If you're listening to this on your commute right now, think about how much mental energy you've already spent today just figuring out logistics.
Probably a lot.
If you could only adopt one of these 8 areas to hand over to AI, just one, which would free up the most mental bandwidth for you, and why?
Pinpointing the biggest leak in your specific cognitive bucket is the first step.
Absolutely.
And I want to leave you with one final, perhaps slightly uncomfortable thought that builds on everything we've discussed today.
I always like these. Lay it on us.
Well, if this technology is truly successful at removing all of this logistical friction from our personal lives,
Okay.
if you never have to spend another Saturday morning paying bills, planning meals, or researching plumbers, what actually happens to the concept of downtime?
Oh, that is a fascinating question.
There is an economic principle called the Jevons paradox. It states that as a resource becomes more efficiently used, demand for it actually increases.
Wait, really? So it doesn't save the resource?
Exactly. So if we successfully reclaim all those hours, will we genuinely use them to rest, recharge, and connect with each other?
I'd like to think so.
Or, knowing the highly driven nature of most professionals, will we simply invent entirely new ways to fill that reclaimed time with even more work?
Wow. Will we use the extra RAM to play a game or just open more spreadsheets?
Right.
That is something to seriously mull over. We started this deep dive talking about that factory manager running around in the dark after 5 p.m., pulling levers, trying to keep the personal logistics running.
Yeah.
AI gives you the chance to finally automate those levers, to actually turn the lights off and walk out the door.
The real question is whether you will allow yourself to actually rest once you do.
Such a powerful thought. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious, and go take back your 16 hours.